Hello, I'm Luke Abraham, and you might know me as the coolest guy around. Growing up, my favorite show of all time was Ben 10. I watched it every day when I came home from school, I played all the video games, and I gushed about it to friends every single day. And something I really enjoyed about watching Ben 10 were all those special episodes where we got to see the aliens in a fresh coat of paint just to, spice things up. For example, the Gwen 10 episode where we got to see what Ben's aliens would look like if Gwen found the Omnitrix. I mean, there's only 4 of them, but that's almost half at least. And then there was the video game episode, no, not that one, the one where Ben and Gwen are trapped in a Sumo Slammers game, and we get to see what Ben's aliens would look like as a samurai, I guess. But then this time we got even less, only 2 aliens. See, the problem with these episodes is that they give us some really cool ideas for how the aliens could be changed in interesting ways, like alternate costumes in a fighting game, but they don't do the full roster of aliens, which I get, it's one episode and they shouldn't try to force every alien in the story if it doesn't work with it. But at least give us the rest of the aliens in like a website thing to look at, like with the Fusion Lab stuff, or hell, make some fucking toys out of it for God's sake. You won't make a toy out of samurai forearms, but you'll give us fat forearms and a fucking sumo thong. Gee, thanks. So, I decided to take it upon myself to choose one of these special episodes and finish off the original 10, just for fun, giving you what Cartoon Network never gave us. So, in the episode's side effects, we get to see what happens to Ben's aliens when Ben has a cold. Each one gets affected with some kind of symptom of Ben's sickness, for better or worse. In the episode, we got to see Forearms, Wildmutt, and Heat Blast. For Forearms, he developed hives under his pits that cause a really bad stench. For Wildmutt, the mucus caused by his stuffy nose clogs his senses, so he isn't able to see it all. Because he uses like echolocation or something to see. For Heat Blast, his flames become frozen, and now he shoots ice instead of fire, creating one of the most memorable scenes in the whole show, still talked about today. Clearly, some aliens ended up better off than others in the sick gene pool, but nonetheless, I had an idea. I'll take the other 7 of the original Ben 10 aliens and give them their own disgustingly diseased forms, but with a few rules to make things more interesting. 1. Each alien will have a different symptom from this magical mega sickness I give them. We'll call it
The Sickness.
like it's a fucking zombie movie. So no repeats, that includes the already used alien sicknesses of stuffy nose, chills, and hives. 2. The way the sickness affects each alien must impact their powers in some way, whether it be removing a power or just changing how it works, because what's the fun in all this if all I'm doing is making Ghost Freak throw up every now and then? 3. And finally, the sickness must give the aliens some kind of new advantage or ability, because why should Heat Blast be the only one who gets to have fun on his sick day? Obviously, there's no need to do all these rules, the show sure as shit didn't adhere to it. But I just thought this idea would be way more fun if we tried to go the Ice Heat Blast route instead of Stinky Forearms. So, these are the rules, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So, Forearms was actually the first one I had this idea for, because I feel like it's such a simple concept. Like, his whole thing is supposed to be that he's ultra durable, harder than diamond, or hard as diamond, whatever. And so I thought, okay, so when he's sick, he's the opposite. He's brittle. And I was actually trying to come up with what kind of sickness would equate to that. And what I got online was muscle weakness. So that's what we're giving him. Now, instead of being this ultra powerful tank, is if you hit him with even the slightest bit of force, he's more likely to just shatter on impact. Well, maybe not entirely, but to an extent. So I thought, how could he spin this in his benefit? And that made me think of, what about shrapnel grenades? So if you haven't watched the show, Diamond Head is able to shoot out little shards of diamond from his hands, quote unquote. And they're kind of like his projectile weapon, right? So we're going to say that during this sick phase, anytime Diamond Head shoots out these shards, they're going to explode on impact, making a shrapnel that's more cutting than piercing, causing a whole lot of minor damage, but enough that he could still win a fight. Also, this is my first time drawing a Ben 10 alien using reference. I usually only draw using like memory. So this was actually very fun to do, and I felt like it really showed how useful reference is, because if you had seen how I tried to draw it from memory, yikes. But yeah, that's all I'd have to say here. This is my version of a sick Diamond Head. I actually had a really hard time coming up with a design or an idea for sick gray matter, because obviously his main draw is his massive intelligence, but I couldn't just have him like become stupid. That's not a sickness you can have. So I dug into my Ben 10 knowledge, and I remembered how in one of the episodes of Omniverse, Azimuth talks about how Galvans have two brains, one for like motor function and the other for like actual thinking. It's where their actual intelligence is. So I thought, what if when Galvans get super sick, they develop horrible migraines that shuts down one of their brains, causing them to become this primal kind of form. And part of the reason I thought of this is because I always wondered why gray matter had like sharp teeth, because like not every alien has sharp teeth, but for some reason he does, even though he's supposed to be the tiny one with like no fighting capability. So I thought that'd be the best way to do it. What if when gray matter gets sick, his secondary brain takes over, making him become this feral little gremlin monster that before he probably would have used his intelligence to save the day, but now he's just gonna Tasmanian devil all over and destroy everything in sight. This is also like my favorite of the drawings. I don't know why, I think it came out the best looking, even though it's like simple, but I think it's definitely my favorite. And it's the first one where I went, wow, references really do help. But anyway, that's my idea for a sick gray matter. So this is another one I had a bit of trouble coming up with an actual sickness for, because my first thought was dehydration, because Ripjaw's whole thing is being dehydrated, but beyond that, how can I make that connect to the reason he has a benefit from it? Because I don't want to just be like, oh, he has dehydration and then he also has laser beams. Like, there has to be a reason that affects him in the way it does. So what I came up with was, what if the reason he's so dehydrated is because he's over sweating? So the idea I came up with was that while Ripjaws is affected by the sickness, he's constantly sweating out acid from his body. And so whenever he's in the water, he's basically just covered in this glowing green acidic aura that lets him just dissolve through anything he wants to swim through. He's basically untouchable underwater. But the downside is that while before he could stay on land for a good couple of minutes before drying out, the second he goes onto land, he's gonna pass out like that. So no more land for this guy. He is a water only while he's sick. Doctor's orders. But anyway, that's my idea for a sick Ripjaws. So there's actually two versions of a sick Ghost Freak that I drew, but they're both the same idea. It's just I tried to make the drawing look a little better, something that really showed the silhouette better. So what I had in mind for Ghost Freak was, what if he was able to vomit like in The Exorcist? Because he's already very spooky and ghost-like, so I thought he's probably not going to have many actual sickness effects because he's not even alive technically, but just for the sake of fun, we'll say that he does have to vomit, and anyone who gets covered in this black tar of puke would be inflicted with horrible fear. And as for how does he vomit, well, as you can see in the drawing, I had the idea to give him like a sort of stomach chest maw, kind of like the giant monster from Spirited Away. I just think the idea of having a giant mouth appear on something that doesn't have a mouth, or is like a reveal that does, and it's just huge, is just a really cool imagery. So I also thought it'd be cool if like the reason that it's not actually puke, it's just some kind of like tar bile that's building inside of him, and so through all these cracks in his cloak you can see it start to spill out slowly. But besides that, that's my idea for a sick Ghost Freak. Okay, so the problem with Stinkfly and coming up with a reason for him being sick is that he kind of already has a sickness, but not really. And the thing is about Stinkfly is that he's constantly able to shoot out this like green goo from his face. But like, that just sounds like mucus and sneezing. So I had to think, okay, well, let's spin that on his head. What if being sick makes it so that he loses that because maybe he's dehydrated? We already did that with Ripjaws. So we need something else. So I thought, what if the reason he can't use his sticky slime or whatever is because he's already used it up, covering himself to protect himself from rashes? So we're gonna say that in this sick reality, Stinkfly has developed these horrible, painful rashes all over his body, and the only way to soothe it is by licking himself to cover it with his slime. The downside to this is that he's no longer able to fly because his wings are in a constant state of wet, we'll say. But the upside is that he can walk up walls pretty easily, and I'd say it gives him a bit of protection, but that's debatable because, you know, sometimes Stinkfly's slime is like fire retardant, and then other times it's flammable and explosive. So, I don't know, you got a 50-50 shot of not blowing up. Congratulations. Have a good sick day. I really struggled coming up with a sick accelerate idea, and I'll be honest, I'm still not very happy with it, but it's the best I could come up with. So for accelerate, his main deal is obviously speed. So what would I do? Slow him down? Well, what kind of human sickness could do that? Because that's the thing. It's not just about limiting their powers, it's about finding some kind of actual sickness that goes with it. Like, for gray matter, I gave him migraines, ripjaws, oversweating, and dehydration. What about accelerate? What would slow someone down? But then I thought, why don't we go the fast track route and speed him up? And no, I'm not saying that fast track is faster than accelerate. No, he's not. But he falls a lot. And so I thought, how about we give accelerate muscle spasms? Just in a constant state of twitching and can't calm down, can't slow down, to the point that he's just constantly running. And he can't stop running, constantly just hitting stuff, running into things, can't slow down, won't slow down because his body won't allow it. It's a way to kind of turn his powers against himself. He's even faster than normal, but the downside of it having less control. I mean, I'll be honest, it was either this or I make him dizzy, and so his movements are unpredictable, and that's why they can't hit him. So I think we'll settle for this. And you might be wondering, did you just draw accelerate, but then add some white squiggly lines to make it look like he's shaking? Yes, I did. Okay, so we have yet another alien that I did 2 drawings of because I couldn't make it look right. I don't know why. These are like the easiest of the aliens to draw and I messed them up somehow. So for Upgrade, I was really struggling with this because not only is Upgrade not a biological creature, he's not just artificial either. He's supposed to be a halfway mix between human and mechamorph. So I was thinking, okay, well, let's just focus on the fact that he's sick comes from the human side, and so how does that affect him as a robot or, you know, mechamorph? So the idea I came up with was he needs to have some kind of symptom that computers have. And what do computers have? Well, they stutter sometimes. It could be a virus, like literally, but I mean, I don't want to just make him into malware. So then I thought, what if we go simpler? Overheating. And honestly, the reason the idea came for this is because while I was drawing the other aliens, what I would do is I would do a little pitch shift in their color to make sure that they look sick, because that's what the show did. And while I was shifting Upgrade, it kind of looked like it was heating when it changed his green to orange. So I thought, why don't we just go with that? That's a problem with a computer's face. So, what's the upside and downside? Well, the upside's pretty obvious. Now he's more fire-based. He's got a lot more heat to him, so when he hits stuff, he's gonna melt through it more and cause more damage. Downside, anything he upgrades is gonna melt almost immediately, so he can't hold on to it for long, and if it's something valuable, he can't even upgrade it at all, or he will damage it. But besides that, that's my idea for a sick upgrade. And that's it. That's all the sick versions of the aliens thought up and drawn. I'll be honest, I had a lot of fun making this video, or more accurately, making the drawings. I mean, the editing portion is fine, but it was the drawings that really felt like I was doing something. Because even if I didn't end up making this video, I would still have the drawings to look at and be like, wow, yeah, I did that. Obviously, this video was heavily inspired by OR Ash's Ultimates Overhauled videos on the ink tank, but hey, now I see why they did so many. To the point I even considered if I should go and give the original 3 my own spins on the whole sickness thing. But you know, then I didn't. So I guess that's the end of the video. Adios.